Does anybody else feel like masculinity has slowly been drained from modern video games? I was looking at recent staff photos of Ubisoft and Halo Infinite developers, and it's all starting to make sense. It's a bunch of fat white liberal women. And white liberal women have no interest in masculine, manly, male characters. They wouldn't even know how to write one if they tried. This is why Rockstar, a company founded by men that at least in 2018 was still mostly run by men, created the magnum opus Red Dead Redemption 2, a game with a manly, well-written main protagonist, Arthur Morgan. If you want to see the seismic shift away from masculine characters, honestly, all you need to do is play a few games from 2006, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Consider how many masculine military games came out in the 2000s. Medal of Honor, Call of Duty, Brothers in Arms, Gears of War, Operation Flashpoint, Rainbow Six, Ghost Recon, Splinter Cell.
Unfortunately, the woke mind virus has seeped into the very culture that we live in. It seeped into everything so much and destroyed everything that now it's also destroyed the games that I used to play when I was younger and growing up. For all those who are watching this video who have played games or are playing games currently, you'll understand what I'm talking about. And it's really understandable that wokeness has not only affected the culture, it also went into the games. And to be honest, it's really sad because nowadays I can't even find a proper game without it having an agenda, just like movies and just like media.
These games were starring men and had themes like brotherhood, duty, sacrifice, honor. Almost all of these franchises have either been killed off, turned into multiplayer games, or went woke. I often wonder why so few modern games appeal to me, and I think another big reason is this. Everything is just so gay now. Compare the games I just mentioned to the modern trash we have to deal with in Overwatch and Apex. Almost every character in these new games is either gay, lesbian, bisexual, trans, or something else. Like, what happened to a masculine dude with a hot chick on his arm? I love the idea of Xbox Game Pass, but I swear every time I open it up and look for new games, there's just so many games that look gay now. I refuse to play another cutesy 2D platformer or a game with a cutesy art style by some indie developer anymore. I'm just done with these games. If you want my 100% real thoughts on this, I just think the entire video game industry has gone woke and gay.
And it's a very interesting phenomenon to see how the rise of wokeness has contributed to a lot of things just turning completely bad. We watch movies nowadays and they're completely bad as well. They have to have some sort of woke agenda somewhere in it where the man is some sort of loser and the woman is the hero of the story. And similarly with wokeness, they put it in video games, and what do you expect? The video games become crap as well.
Almost nothing they are making appeals to me in any way anymore. So this is why I mostly play 20-year-old games on my channel, because they were just better. I was recently reading an insider interview about what went down at Volition Studios with the disastrous Saints Row reboot from an inside source. This source said that the LGBTQ community within the company was actually pretty small, but they are the loudest and the most annoying, and the company leadership chose to promote these people into key roles. And that's how you get the absolute dumpster fire of a game that was Saints Row 2022. I think what you have at a lot of these game studios is about 80% of the staff is probably just hetero dudes trying to do their job, but they're afraid of speaking up or saying what they actually think, and then you have the LGBTQ folks making decisions about what kind of game to make. And everything just ends up being safe and soft and sensitive because, oh, we can't hurt anybody's feelings. So, of course, you get these shitty dumpster fire video games that nobody wants to play. After reading a lot of insider interviews at these developers, this is my sense of what has been happening. I also feel like there's this kind of unholy alliance right now between games journalists, white liberal women at game studios, and the LGBTQ community at game studios. And they all seem to be united around one thing. They actually hate gamers. And who are gamers overwhelmingly? Well, heterosexual dudes like us, of course. This recent Reddit thread was written by an actual game developer and made me realize this. It reads, headline,
Am I allowed to say this? I kinda hate gamers. I'm a professional game designer and I'm worried that I'm starting to hate gamers. Watching the gaming events on YouTube last month with the chat on was extremely disheartening experience. Every time a character that wasn't a cis-het white man appeared on screen, the chats would fill with messages calling the game woke or complaining about DEI. Every game that wasn't a shooter or a hyper-casual competitive online game garnered zzz and boring comments. I've seen people implying that the MC in Fable trailers is ugly because it's a self-insert of some random level designer working at Playground whom they deemed not fuckable enough.
The irony of the whole ABCD community talking about inclusivity and love for everyone is that they don't love or are inclusive to people who disagree with them. Marketing 101 will tell you that you have a specific audience and your audience wants a certain thing, so you cater to that audience. But no, the ABCD community say no, we're just going to do what we want, and even if the audience don't like it, we'll still do it anyway. And then what will happen is when everything flunks like their movies and now their games as well, they'll claim it's because people are racist and they're homophobic. No, it's just your game sucks.
I don't know, it's just the internet magnifying negative voices, I guess, doing what it does best. But it's making me real tired of gamers.
So at this point, it seems that games journalists and all of the liberal LGBT mafia that work at game studios actually hate their audience. And this is a comment I keep reading from you guys again and again. I swear they literally hate us. They seem to be dead set on giving their audience exactly what we don't want. How long is your business going to be open if you're dead set on not giving the customer what they want?
Before we get back into the video, I need everyone to turn on their post notifications so that you get notified whenever one of my videos come out. Like the video as much as possible, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and follow me on Twitter at YinkaThatGuy. Let us get back into the video.
This is why when skanks like Alyssa Mercante are crying about Kotaku shutting down and losing their jobs, and game studios are going under because they were associated with Sweet Baby Inc., I just laugh. Let them burn. Let all these companies burn who don't know how to give the audience. The wonderful irony in all this is that it's the very games that the woke cancel mob has tried to cancel that seem to do the best. Remember Hogwarts Legacy? Yeah, men who dress in women's clothes tried to get it canceled. Instead, the game sold 25 million copies. Oops. Remember Elden Ring? Remember how the woke mob tried to accuse FromSoft games of having, quote, problematic depictions of women? Oops, sold 25 million copies. At this point, making an offensive game seems to guarantee that game's success. We could talk about Stellar Blade, pissing off all of the liberal progressives, and yet everybody went out and bought it. Okay, so in the rest of this video, I want to give you 4 examples of a game or game series going from masculine to feminine or gay, and it basically either killed or ruined the franchise. Number 1, Ubisoft and Red Storm Entertainment. So Red Storm Entertainment was a video game company founded by the legendary Tom Clancy to make Tom Clancy video games. He sold the company to Ubisoft in the year 2000, and Ubisoft in the 2000s actually had some balls and made some of the manliest games you've ever seen. There were the Splinter Cell games, the Ghost Recon games, the Rainbow Six games, and the Far Cry games. All of these games pretty much feature exclusively men, and these IPs in the 2000s had so much testosterone, just a single glance from a woman in their direction would get her pregnant. I mean, motherfucking Sam Fisher, come on. The dude is the ultimate Giga Chad. Scott Mitchell in Ghost Recon. Now you pick your own character in Far Cry 2, but it's definitely a manly game that will put hair on your chest. So what is Red Storm Entertainment up to today? Well, I recently saw that Tom Clancy's The Division Heartland is being led by a man who dresses in women's clothes in his free time.
At this point, it doesn't even seem like they even want to do good. They just want to push their agenda regardless of what people think, and then claim they're being inclusive, which, as I said, is very ironic. The very people who claim inclusivity are the very people who actually have exclusivity. But hey, don't judge people though. For groups who claim that they're minority, they seem to have a very strong hold on a lot of things and have a very strong push on a lot of things as well. But yet they'll be the ones who will also complain victim while they're the ones who are controlling everything. Make it make sense.
Now look, I don't give a shit if you want to identify as a dragon and go around laying magic eggs, but can we agree that the least masculine thing on earth you can do is dress in women's clothes? Tom Clancy would be rolling over in his grave right now if he knew the absolute disaster that Red Storm Entertainment had become. Number 2, Wolfenstein. So I was recently playing Wolfenstein: The New Order for the first time, which came out in 2014. And I have to say, of all the games I was sure were going to avoid woke Western progressivism, this game was pretty high up there. The first 3 entries of the reboot were all fantastic. They had the badass BJ Blazkowicz, an absolute unit, as the main character, ripping apart entire armies of Nazis with the sexy and smart Anya as his arm candy and wife. Machine Game's first 3 Wolfenstein entries, which came out in 2014, 2015, and 2017, are all great. They have normal men and women doing normal shit in them. Awesome. But of course, the woke mob had to get involved somehow. So you have a beloved series with a beloved, tough, male, manly main character. Do you suppose it's a good idea to kill off that guy and replace him with cringy girl boss characters? Wolfenstein Youngblood came out in 2019, and it's an absolute tone-deaf disaster. So many modern video games, I find myself asking, who wanted this? Who asked for this? I often ask the same thing of the new Star Wars shows by Kathleen Kennedy as well. The Wolfenstein reboot had the perfect synergy of story and gameplay. You are BJ Blazkowicz, unleashing his rage on the Nazis for killing everyone he loved. You see this come across in his brutal assassinations, like sticking a rusty pipe through the eye socket of an SS Waffen commander. But the setup to Wolfenstein Youngblood is incredibly cringe. In it, you play as BJ's daughters, and they're honestly nothing like him. The first time you kill somebody, they don't really want to do it, and when they finally kill the guy, they have to have lattes and talk about it afterwards. Youngblood is a perfect example of how a cutscene can go so wrong in a game. BJ's setup is perfect and explains to you why you're doing the actions you're doing. BJ's daughters, however, are acting like they're in an episode of Big Bang Theory the whole time, but oh yeah, they just happen to be killing Nazis, and haha, isn't this so funny? It's tonally all over the place and just so full of cringy and awful cinematics, which is ironic because the cinematics in the first 3 games were like so good and short, and they got to the point and they were really emotional and impactful. Example number 3, Gears of War. For a full explanation of how the woke mob girl-bossed Gears of War, see my video on that game, but I'll keep this short. The first 3 Gears games are an incredible trilogy focusing on the bonds and brotherhood between men. They are incredibly masculine games, focusing on duty and sacrifice in military orders, and I know some of you hate this, but for 10,000 years, it's only been men fighting wars. Sorry. The first 3 games focus on Marcus, Dom, Cole, and Baird and tell a masculine story of brotherhood. Well, the progressive woke mob somehow got to Gears of War, and Gears 4 and 5 are about sisterhood, motherhood, being a traitor, and what it feels like to be a woman.
It's absolutely crazy how everything the woke mob gets their hands on gets destroyed. And I played Gears of War back in the day on my Xbox 360 when I was younger, and it was a very good game, and we didn't have to worry about agendas being placed in them and all of this nonsense. But of course, a couple of years later, all of the woke mob have to put their girl boss feminist nonsense in everything, and then they destroy it. I'm sure the demographic of Gears of War was not women, and if there were women, it was definitely a very small minority. But of course, as I've said, they don't care about what people think. They're just going to push their agenda, and the ones who claim we force things down their throats, they force it down our throats.
Introduce the character of Kate Diaz, who I don't think anybody gives a single fuck about. What they should have done is put Kate in a spin-off game, not a mainline Gears entry. But here's the problem, of course, nobody would have bought it. So unfortunately, Gears 4 and 5 are basically girl boss, feminist Gears of War, and any masculine story about men is put on the back burner. Of course, the games include Baird and Marcus in them, but they're really on the back burner, and Gears is now about Kate Diaz, who I've never talked to a Gears fan even cares about. Moving on, example number 4, the Saints Row reboot. Saints Row spent 10 years building up characters and building up a very distinctive and edgy and male sense of humor. It's the kind of stuff you and the guys would laugh at. Some of the recurring characters in Saints Row are Johnny Gat, Julius, Aisha, Shondi, and several others. In these games, the men are men and the women are women. Johnny is edgy and hilarious and always has a hot chick on his arm. The humor is crude and hilarious, and the Saints are always getting into trouble. So what went wrong with the reboot? Well, the woke 2022 reboot thought it was a good idea to kill off every single character from the old Saints Row games, and I guess they thought we would be cool with that? But don't worry, all of the beloved characters you've come to know and love have been replaced with tokenistic characters from a literal seminar on diversity. You've got the gay Asian man, the girl boss lesbian, another girl boss lesbian, and the gay black guy. The LGBTQ mafia didn't just kill Saints Row, they crucified it on a rainbow flag. And this is what you get, guys. This is what you fuckers get for supporting these people. They turn out shitty games that aren't funny, that aren't cool, that aren't masculine. So stop hiring these people. Game developers need to stop putting gay stuff in games, and they need to fire every liberal white woman if they want us to ever buy a game again. Because I'm serious, we are done with this shit. We're not buying these games. Like, Phil Spencer is out here complaining about how people aren't spending as much money on games anymore. I guarantee if you give us hetero dudes hot chicks in games again and manly men, you will see sales go through the roof. Bring back the glory days of video games. I have this theory that in a few years, we're going to see a turn back to the golden era of video games, and people are going to start buying games again.
And this is all true. The woke mafia have taken over everything, and they put their hands on everything, and they've destroyed everything, all in the name of inclusivity and not caring about what the audience truly wants. But anyway, that was another video. If you guys enjoyed the video, like the video as much as possible, comment down below, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow me on Instagram and X at YinkaThatGuy, and I am out.